Hi there! So it's time today for chapter 29. We've only got 2 chapters left and then we finish the whole book, which is rather exciting, I think. Okay, so chapter 29 is called The Other Children Go Home. We must go down and take a look at our little friends before we do anything else, said Mr. Wonka. He pressed a different button and the lift dropped lower and soon it was hovering just above the entrance gates to the factory. Looking down now, Charlie could see the children and their parents standing in a group just inside the gates. I can only see 3, he said. Who's missing? I expect it's Mike TV, Mr. Wonka said, but he'll be coming along soon. Do you see the trucks? Mr. Wonka pointed to a line of gigantic covered vans parked in a line nearby. Yes, Charlie said. What are they for? Don't you remember what it said on the golden ticket? Every child goes home with a lifetime supply of sweets. There's 1 truckload for each of them, loaded to the brim. Aha, Mr. Wonka went on. There goes our friend Augustus Gloop. Do you see him? He's getting into the first truck with his mother and father. You mean he's really all right? Asked Charlie, astonished, even after going up that awful pipe. He's very much all right, said Mr. Wonka. He's changed, said Grandpa Joe, peering down through the glass wall of the elevator. He used to be fat. Now he's thin as a straw. Of course he's changed, said Mr. Wonka, laughing. He got squeezed in the pipe, don't you remember? And look, there goes Miss Violet Beauregard, the great gum chewer. It seems as though they managed to dejuice her after all. I'm so glad. How healthy she looks. Much better than before. But she's purple in the face, cried Grandpa Joe. So she is, said Mr. Wonka. Ah, well, nothing we can do about that. Good gracious, cried Charlie. Look at poor Veruca Salt and Mr. Salt and Mrs. Salt. They're simply covered with rubbish. And here comes Mike TV, said Grandpa Joe. Good heavens, what have they done to him? He's about 10 feet tall and thin as a wire. They've overstretched him on the gum stretching machine, said Mr. Wonka. How very careless. But how dreadful for him, cried Charlie. Nonsense, said Mr. Wonka. He's very lucky. Every basketball team in the country will be trying to get him. But now, he added, it's time we left these 4 silly children. I have something very important to talk to you about, my dear Charlie. Mr. Wonka pressed another button and the lift swung upwards into the sky. So here we've got a photograph, or excuse me, not a photograph, a picture, an illustration of the children coming out of the factory. So it's a long picture across the 2 pages, like this. But I'm going to zoom in for you. So if we start on this side, right at the back, that's Mike TV. He's been all stretched out, look like a skinny, tall, wobbly, thin person because he had to be stretched because he was so tiny. And there we've got Veruca Salt and her parents who are all covered in rubbish because remember they fell down the rubbish chute, didn't they? And then what else have we got? We've also got Violet Beauregard, who is now purple for the rest of her life, and Augustus Gloop, who's gone all skinny because he went down the pipe. Goodness gracious me, can you see him holding his trousers out in front of him because they're too big? Oh, that's the end of the chapter. So there we are. So now, I think, I'm just going to double check. I think this is the last chapter. Oh, yes. So 1 chapter left and then we finish this whole entire book. Okay, so I'll see you next time for the last chapter, which will be chapter 30. See you then.